The council chamber of the Galactic Union was filled with laughter. Dozens of alien species sat in golden thrones, each glowing with pride and arrogance. They laughed at the small blue planet called Earth, mocking its fragile humans. One tall alien with scales of silver stood up and shouted, "Humans think they can fight? They barely survive their own wars." Another, a creature with crystal skin and 6 eyes, replied, "They are emotional, loud, and weak. They don't deserve to stand among the stars." Laughter echoed through the vast chamber like thunder. But far away, beyond their sensors, in the darkness of the Sol system, the humans were listening. In a hidden command station orbiting Earth's moon, Captain Arya Holt stood in silence. Her jaw was tight, her eyes cold, and her voice calm as she said, "Play it again." The room filled with the sound of alien laughter once more. Every officer in the command center watched the screen, their faces emotionless. But behind their silence burned something powerful, human pride. They had built cities from dust, crossed oceans, and reached the stars without help. And now the galaxy laughed at them as if they were children. Arya turned off the transmission and spoke softly. "They've forgotten who we are." A young pilot named Mason broke the silence. "Captain, what do we do now?" Arya looked at him with eyes that reflected both fire and sorrow. "We do what humans have always done," she said. "We adapt, we endure, and when the time comes, we strike." The words spread across the fleet like electricity. It wasn't anger, it wasn't revenge, it was purpose. Earth had been silent for too long, waiting, preparing, and watching. Deep within the Pacific Trench, beneath miles of water, lay the beating heart of humanity's last secret, Project Eclipse. It was not a weapon of mass destruction, but of perfect silence. An invisible force that could turn stars dark and cripple entire systems. It was humanity's shield and sword, built not for glory but for survival. Only a few in the entire fleet knew its full power, and Arya Holt was one of them. Night fell over Earth, and every light in orbit went dark. Satellites shifted into stealth, ships powered down, and radio signals vanished. Across the stars, alien empires saw the silence and laughed harder. "They are hiding again," one alien leader said. "Let them vanish, they are no threat to us." But Arya smiled in the darkness, her voice barely a whisper. "Exactly." For months, humans had listened to every alien transmission, learning their strengths and weaknesses. They had mapped trade routes, fleet schedules, and planetary defenses. Every joke told about Earth, every insult, was stored and marked. Humanity had never been more united. Old rivalries between nations faded away, replaced by one shared truth, survival. In that silence, the world had changed. Factories that once made cars now built ships. Engineers that once built towers now built engines of war. And soldiers who once fought for borders now fought for the name of Earth itself. As dawn broke over the Atlantic, the human fleet assembled in secret, rows upon rows of dark ships, their hulls coated in energy-absorbing black. The stars reflected in their armor, making them appear as part of the void itself. Captain Arya stood on the bridge of the command ship Erebus, her crew waiting for the signal. She looked at Earth one last time, blue, peaceful, unaware of the storm rising beyond the horizon. Then she raised her hand and whispered, "Initiate Operation Eclipse." In that moment, 1,000 ships vanished into the void. Engines silent, weapons cold, hearts steady. They disappeared from every galactic radar, leaving no trace behind. The first strike would not be loud, it would be invisible, a whisper in the dark that would make the galaxy tremble. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, another meeting had begun. The aliens laughed again, speaking of trade, politics, and human failure. None of them noticed the stars outside the window flicker once. None of them knew that at that very second, light itself was being bent around a fleet moving unseen toward their borders. Humanity was no longer the weak voice in the room. They had become the silence that followed laughter. And soon, the galaxy would remember that silence forever. The universe was still laughing when the first star went dark. At first, no one noticed. One small sun in the outer rim simply faded, its light swallowed by an unseen veil. The alien astronomers blamed magnetic storms, or maybe cosmic dust. But when the second sun vanished, and then the third, the laughter began to fade. Deep in the void between galaxies, the human fleet moved like shadows through water. Engines cold, signals off, hulls blending with darkness. Captain Arya Holt watched from her command deck as holographic maps updated silently. Each glowing star that disappeared was another completed strike. Zephyr, the AI core guiding the operation, spoke in a calm, human-like voice. Target Cluster Alpha neutralized. No casualties, no detection. Arya nodded, her tone flat. Proceed to Cluster Beta. No explosions, no battles, just silence. Worlds that once glowed bright now hung dead in the void, their energy grids offline, their suns dimmed by human technology. The alien fleets scrambled in confusion, searching for an enemy they could not see. Every system they checked showed no trace of movement, no radio signature, no threat at all. And yet, their worlds kept dying one by one. In the Galactic Council, chaos replaced arrogance. Emergency meetings were called, fleets redeployed. The same aliens who had mocked Earth now argued among themselves. Some claimed it was a natural disaster. Others blamed rival empires. No one even considered that humanity, the primitive world, could do this. That was their greatest mistake. Back in orbit above Neptune, Arya stood before the main viewport. Zephyr projected the next list of targets, a cluster of suns that powered half the trade routes of the inner arm. Do we strike? Mason asked quietly, his voice uncertain. Arya's eyes stayed fixed on the stars. Not yet, she said. We make them feel the fear first. Zephyr dimmed the lights as the human fleet coasted through silent space. Thousands of ships drifting with perfect precision, like predators waiting in the dark. In the alien sectors, panic spread faster than light. Without power, planets fell into darkness, communication networks collapsed. Mass evacuations began, but no one knew where to run. Ships collided in chaos, leaders screamed for answers. And across every broadcast, one question echoed, who is doing this? The first clue came too late. An alien mining vessel in the Threx belt captured a faint shadow, a human ship, half visible, cloaked by bending light. The image spread across the networks like wildfire. The humans, one voice whispered, trembling. It's the humans. Fear became a storm, and the galaxy finally understood the cost of its laughter. In the hidden command room, Zephyr's systems pulsed softly with blue light. Detection probability increasing, it warned. Arya didn't blink. Then we move faster, she said. Her orders spread through the fleet instantly. Engines flared to life for mere seconds before vanishing again. Dozens of human strike groups emerged inside alien space. Precise, invisible, unstoppable. They did not destroy cities, they destroyed pride. No empire could admit it, but everyone now whispered the same name, Earth. One alien general shouted before his senate, "They are breaking the laws of physics. No creature can do this." But another replied quietly, "They are not creatures, they are humans." For the first time, the word human was not spoken with mockery, but with fear. Back aboard the Erebus, Mason stared at the glowing map, red systems turning black one after another. "How many more?" he asked, his voice low. Arya looked at him, her face unreadable. "As many as it takes," she said. The bridge went silent. Outside, stars flickered like candles in the wind. Each dying light marked another reminder that humanity had returned to the galaxy. Not as victims, but as ghosts in the dark. By the end of that week, 7-star systems had fallen into total silence. No transmissions, no energy, no trace of life. And yet, not a single human had died. It was the perfect strike. Invisible, psychological, unforgettable. Across the galaxy, propaganda screens turned black, replaced by static. Then, for a single second, a blue Earth emblem appeared, glowing like fire against the void. No words, no sound, just the image of humanity staring back at them. In every alien capital, fear became worship. Commanders prayed their worlds would not be next. Children cried when the stars dimmed outside their windows. And somewhere in the deep of space, Arya whispered quietly, "They laughed at humanity once. Now they listen." The galaxy had grown used to human silence, but now that silence had turned into a weapon. The first world to vanish completely was Vornis Prime, a shining capital of science and trade, known for its endless sky bridges and floating gardens. Its sun dimmed without warning, and every starship above it froze in orbit. Within minutes, communication lines failed, power vanished, and the great towers of glass turned black. No explosion, no invasion, just darkness swallowing an entire civilization. From orbit, a single human drone drifted unseen, its sensors cold, its purpose complete. It had delivered a pulse invisible to alien eyes, a whisper of technology born from human desperation and genius. When the last lights of Vornis flickered out, the galaxy held its breath. Then came the panic. Across the stars, the alien networks buzzed with questions. Is it the humans? One transmission asked. No, it cannot be, another replied. But fear needed no proof. It grew by itself, spreading faster than any truth could stop it. Every empire, every colony, began to look to the dark parts of the sky with dread. They had mocked Earth for its chaos, but now they were the ones trembling in confusion. In the hidden command ship Erebus, Captain Arya Holt watched the incoming feeds. Images of blacked-out planets, broken fleets, and frightened leaders filled the air. Zephyr's calm voice echoed through the deck. Phase 2 complete, 74 systems affected, 0 casualties. Mason leaned forward, whispering. They're terrified, Captain. Arya nodded, her tone steady. Good. Fear is faster than war. Far away, alien generals met in secret. Some shouted for revenge, others for peace, but none could find the enemy. Every time they sent fleets toward Earth, their ships vanished into the same darkness they feared. It was like chasing shadows that never answered back. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized it was blind. On the third day after Vornis Prime, something strange began. Alien civilians across 100 worlds started praying. They built shrines under fading skies and whispered the word human, as if it meant both death and salvation. Children drew blue circles, the color of Earth, on the walls, thinking it might protect them. The more the adults tried to hide their fear, the stronger the legends became. In the quiet of the Erebus, Zephyr analyzed millions of intercepted transmissions. Fear efficiency rising exponentially, it said. Mason frowned. Fear efficiency? Arya's gaze stayed on the stars. When they start to imagine us as gods or monsters, we've already won. Her voice carried no pride, only weight. She knew humanity had crossed a line, not just of war, but of myth. The Galactic Council, once filled with laughter, now sat in darkness. No lights, no broadcasts, only candle glow reflecting off the faces of leaders who had lost their pride. The same chamber that once mocked Earth now echoed with silence. One elder spoke softly. We should have left them alone. Another whispered. They were never weak, only waiting. Meanwhile, deep in human space, factories roared. New fleets rose from Earth's orbit, silent ships built from black alloy, powered by stars themselves. Humanity had united, not under flags or nations, but under one simple truth. They would never be mocked again. Children studied the stories of old wars, not to repeat them, but to understand what made humanity endure. And at the center of it all, Captain Arya stood like a symbol, calm, fearless, relentless. When Vornis Prime finally sent its last distress signal, a single image escaped the blackout. A sky with no stars, only a glowing blue emblem, Earth's symbol, burning faintly in the dark. The message reached the council, and even the proudest alien leaders fell silent. It was no longer a rumor, it was proof. Humanity had turned the stars into their message, and the message was clear. We are still here. Arya closed her eyes as Zephyr reported the results. Phase 3 ready for execution. She whispered, No, not yet. Mason looked at her, confused. Why wait, Captain? She smiled faintly. Because silence is louder when they beg for noise. Outside the viewport, the stars flickered like candlelight, as if the universe itself feared what came next. And so, the galaxy waited. Every empire holding its breath, every fleet frozen in paranoia. They had laughed at humanity once, but now their laughter was gone. In its place came whispers, prayers, and stories of the night the stars began to fade. The night humanity returned, unseen and unstoppable. And somewhere in the endless dark, Arya's voice broke the silence once more. This is only the beginning. The galaxy had never known fear like this. Trade routes that once glowed with endless ships now floated empty. Stars that once shimmered with color now looked dull and lifeless. Whole empires closed their borders, afraid of invisible enemies hiding in the dark. And in the silence between systems, whispers grew louder than any war ever had. The Galactic Council had stopped meeting under its great lights. Now, they gathered in dim halls, whispering about Earth like frightened children. No one dared say the word human too loudly, as if even sound could draw attention. They no longer mocked Earth, they feared it. The same races that once called humans primitive now erased every record that mentioned them, hoping to be forgotten. But humanity had already written its story in the stars. They didn't need to speak, they didn't need to show themselves. Their silence was louder than any fleet. Captain Arya Holt stood aboard the Erebus, watching her screens filled with alien panic reports. Zephyr's calm voice echoed through the deck. 73 skirmishes recorded between alien factions, all caused by misinformation we seeded. Arya smiled faintly. Then the plan works. In every corner of the galaxy, old alliances shattered. The reptilian Ricard Dominion accused the insectoid Varn Hive of using human technology. The Varn accused the crystalline Olorii of hiding human fleets behind their colonies. Within days, worlds burned, fleets clashed, and billions screamed. Not from human weapons, but from fear of them. Arya watched it unfold quietly, her hands behind her back, her voice calm. Let them destroy each other, she said. And when the smoke clears, they will beg for silence again. In a forgotten corner of the universe, the last transmission of a dying general reached the council. His face was pale, his voice shaking. We thought they were gone, but they are here. They are everywhere, even in the dark between stars. Then the signal ended, replaced by static. No one knew if he was right, but no one dared to check. Zephyr displayed new data across the bridge, showing chaos blooming like fire across the galactic map. Council communications have dropped by 90%, it reported. Civilian confidence at record low. Interstellar economy collapse at stage 4. Mason stared at the glowing red map, whispering, "We didn't even fire a single shot." Arya nodded. "That's the beauty of it. Mason, they did this to themselves." Back on alien worlds, fear turned into superstition. Temples were built for the silent ones. Priests preached that humanity had ascended into divine form, controlling stars themselves. The galaxy that once ruled Earth now prayed to it. And every prayer was just another reminder of how far humans had come. But not everyone on Earth celebrated. Some leaders questioned the morality of their silent war. They asked if fear was better than peace, if victory without blood was still victory at all. Arya listened to their voices through encrypted channels, but her answer never changed. "We are not gods," she said. "We are survivors, and survivors do what they must." As the days turned into weeks, the alien empires continued to collapse. No one trusted anyone. No one dared travel through open space. Whole sectors went dark as fleets destroyed their own satellites, thinking they were human drones. Humanity watched from afar, quiet and unseen. Each new flame in the void was a monument to the arrogance that once laughed at Earth. Then, one night, Zephyr spoke again, its tone slightly different, softer, almost sad. "Captain, the galaxy is breaking apart. Billions are dying without our hand." Arya closed her eyes, her expression unreadable. "This was never about killing," she said. "This was about remembering." At that moment, across the galaxy, the last free broadcast played. It came from an alien poet on a dying world, his voice trembling as he spoke into the silence. They mocked the humans, and the stars answered. Now the universe itself holds its breath. The transmission ended, but the words remained, carved into data cores, whispered in ruins. And for the first time in 1,000 years, every species understood the same truth. Earth had returned not as a conqueror, but as a shadow that ruled from silence. Back on the Erebus, Arya looked out at the faint light of distant stars. They flickered like candle flames about to die. Zephyr asked quietly, "Shall we proceed to Phase 4? Arya whispered, "No. Let them live with their fear a little longer." Her reflection glimmered against the glass, blue earth shining faintly in the distance. She smiled just once. They wanted silence. Now they have it. For weeks, the galaxy had been trapped in darkness and fear. Every fleet had stopped moving. Every empire had turned on itself. But in the middle of the chaos, one signal broke through the silence. A signal that came from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was soft, clear, and carried only one word: Earth. In the Galactic Council's shattered chamber, surviving leaders stared at the glowing hologram that appeared above the table. A symbol of blue light, the same emblem seen in the skies of fallen worlds, rotated slowly. No one spoke. No one dared to move. Then a human voice filled the air, calm, steady, and filled with something deeper than anger. This message is not a threat. This is a memory. The voice was Captain Arya Holtz, though no alien knew her name. Her tone carried the weight of centuries of laughter, war, and silence. You mocked us. You called us weak. You thought our kindness was failure. You took from us, burned our colonies, and erased our people from your maps. But you forgot who we are. We are humanity, and we endure. Every corner of the galaxy heard those words. From the icy moons of the Ricard Dominion to the burning sands of the Varnhive worlds. Every species froze as the transmission played across their skies. The signal was not coming from ships or satellites, but from the stars themselves. Somehow, humanity had turned light into a message, and it was everywhere at once. On the bridge of the Erebus, Arya stood quietly, watching the signal spread. Zephyr's voice echoed beside her. Message confirmed in 1,284 systems. Translation complete in 117 languages. Mason looked at her with awe. You think they'll understand? Arya smiled faintly. They already do. Across the galaxy, cities stopped burning. Fleets powered down their weapons. Even the most arrogant rulers stood silent before the symbol of Earth. The voice continued, calm but powerful. We do not seek conquest. We do not demand tribute. We ask only that you remember. Remember the ones you laughed at, the ones you dismissed. Because we are still here, watching, learning, surviving. For the first time since the night of vanishing suns, the galaxy truly listened. Children stared at the sky in wonder. Old warriors wept. The message carried no hate, only truth, and that made it even more terrifying. Because no one could fight truth. In the council chamber, an old alien diplomat whispered, "They're not attacking." Another replied, trembling, "No, this is worse." The blue emblem brightened until it filled the entire hall with light. And then the voice spoke its final words. You wanted silence, now you understand it. Let it teach you. Because the next time humanity speaks, it will not be with words. The transmission ended, but the light did not fade. For hours, the emblem of Earth remained in the sky above every world. Its glow reached into the oceans of distant planets, the peaks of alien mountains, the hearts of those who once laughed. And everywhere, the same realization spread. Earth had chosen mercy, not revenge. But mercy given from power was the most terrifying mercy of all. Back on the Erebus, Mason whispered, "They'll never forget this." Arya turned toward him, her voice soft. "That's the point." Zephyr displayed a map filled with blue symbols, systems now acknowledging human peace terms. Not out of diplomacy, but out of fear and respect. "Shall we end the broadcast?" Zephyr asked. Arya shook her head. "Leave it," she said. "Let the stars speak for us." And as the ship drifted through the void, the galaxy watched the blue glow fade slowly into darkness. It was not the silence of war anymore. It was the silence of understanding. The silence that comes when the universe realizes it has met something it cannot break. Earth had spoken only once, and that was enough. From that day forward, whenever alien children looked up at the night sky, they did not see stars anymore. They saw eyes, the eyes of humanity. Watching, waiting, remembering. The message from Earth had ended, but its echo remained in every corner of the galaxy. Worlds that once burned with arrogance now stood still, drenched in blue light from the symbol of Earth that refused to fade. For days, alien leaders sent desperate transmissions, begging for an answer. None came. The silence itself had become the judge of their fate. In the ruins of the Galactic Council Hall, the surviving leaders gathered once again. The grand chamber that once glittered with gold now flickered under emergency lights. Holograms of fallen worlds surrounded them, each marked by the blue emblem. They spoke in whispers, afraid that their words might summon the humans. One voice finally broke through the fear. "We must talk to them. Even gods listen if you ask." Another replied, trembling. "And what if they don't?" But Earth had already decided. At the edge of the Andromar Rift, human fleets emerged from the dark, slow, silent, endless. Thousands of ships shaped like shadows and glass, gliding without sound. Their formation filled the stars like a second constellation. For the first time, the galaxy saw the true face of humanity's power. And it was beautiful and terrifying. On the command deck of the Erebus, Captain Arya Holt stood in full uniform, her eyes reflecting the burning light of a nearby star. Zephyr's voice broke the stillness. "All fleets in position, awaiting your command." Arya's tone was calm. "Open transmission to the Council." A beam of blue light shot across the void, reaching the broken chamber of the alien rulers. And then, for the first time in history, they saw her. She was not a monster, not a god, just human, calm, collected, and strong. Her presence alone silenced the room. Behind her stood no army, no weapon, only the quiet hum of the ship's power. "Members of the Galactic Council," she said, her voice soft but steady. "You once judged us, called us weak, simple, unworthy." She paused, letting the silence hang heavy. "Now, you know what we are." One alien elder tried to speak, his voice shaking. What do you want from us?" Arya looked at him, her eyes sharp but not cruel. "Nothing," she said. "We do not want your planets, your wealth, or your slaves. We only want memory. You will remember who we are, and you will never forget what silence feels like." Behind her, the holographic projection shifted, showing images of Earth, oceans, forests, mountains, and human faces. Children laughing, cities glowing, soldiers standing at sunrise. It was not a show of power, but a reminder of life. "We are not your enemies," Arya continued, "but we are not your victims either. If you come to our skies again with war in your hearts, the stars themselves will answer." The alien leaders trembled, many bowed their heads. In that moment, humanity didn't need to conquer. They were already above conquest. Fear had turned into respect, and respect had turned into peace. A fragile peace, born from awe. Zephyr's voice whispered through the bridge. "Transmission complete. The Council has surrendered authority." Arya closed her eyes for a moment, the weight of it all heavy on her shoulders. She didn't smile. She didn't cheer. She simply whispered, "Then maybe, this time, silence will mean peace." As the fleets turned back toward home, the stars shimmered behind them like embers fading after fire. Every alien world watched as the human armada drifted away, not as conquerors, but as ghosts who had judged and then forgiven. In every culture, new songs began to spread. Songs of the reckoning, when the humans spoke only once, and the universe listened. Mason stood beside Arya on the bridge, watching the stars grow smaller. "Do you think they'll ever try again?" he asked. Arya's gaze stayed on the horizon. "Maybe," she said softly. "But next time, they'll remember the silence before they act." Earth's fleets disappeared into the black, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. No empire dared to rise again without glancing at the sky first. No war began without someone whispering the word, human. And far above them all, the blue glow of Earth's emblem faded slowly into the void. The reckoning was over, but the memory of it would last until the stars themselves went dark. Years passed after the reckoning, and the galaxy began to heal, slowly and carefully. The great wars had ended, the fleets had been dismantled, and silence once born of fear had turned into peace. Worlds once filled with arrogance now built monuments to memory. At the center of every capital, beneath domes of crystal, one symbol shone, a blue circle, the emblem of Earth, glowing softly in the dark. Children who were not even alive during the night of silence grew up hearing stories whispered by their elders. Stories of the day the laughter stopped. They called it the day of remembering. Across alien worlds, schools taught the story of the humans, not as conquerors, but as a warning and a legend. They learned how humanity had come from a single small world and made the galaxy listen without firing a single shot. On the quiet plains of a distant planet, alien farmers would pause at dusk and look at the faint blue in the sky. They would bow their heads slightly, and whisper one word: respect. Because even now, decades later, no one dared forget. Trade routes reopened, peace treaties were signed, and the Galactic Council was rebuilt. But its first law was written in human language. Silence is not weakness, it is strength unspoken. Captain Arya Holt had long since retired, her name now spoken in songs and legends. She lived near the ocean, where waves whispered like the stars once did. Every night, she would sit by the shore and watch the sky. Zephyr's voice, preserved within the memory core, still spoke softly to her. "All systems stable, Captain," it would say, and she would smile faintly, answering, "Not Captain anymore, Zephyr, just Arya." One evening, Mason came to visit her, older now, with silver in his hair. They sat together watching the horizon as the sun dipped into the sea. "The galaxy finally knows peace," he said quietly. Arya nodded. "Yes, because it finally learned fear first." Mason smiled. "Do you think they truly understand us now?" Arya's gaze drifted toward the stars. "No," she said softly. "But they remember us, and that's enough." In the rebuilt council chamber, a statue of a human figure stood at the center. Not in armor, not holding a weapon, but simply standing, one hand open toward the stars. Under it were carved the words, "They mocked humanity, and the stars fell silent. Now the silence speaks forever." Generations passed, and the myth of Earth grew. Some believed humans were guardians of balance. Others said they had vanished into higher dimensions. Few ever saw them again, yet the fear and respect remained. Alien poets wrote verses about the night of vanishing suns. Singers turned the story of Arya Holt into songs that echoed through nebulae. And somewhere deep in the archives of the Council, hidden behind layers of encryption, the original transmission from Earth still played endlessly. The blue emblem still appeared once a year in the sky of every major world. No one knew how it happened or who kept it alive. It was as if the stars themselves remembered the signal. And each time it appeared, the galaxy fell silent again. Not in fear, but in reverence. Back on Earth, humanity continued to grow quietly. No more wars between nations, no more walls or divisions. The lesson had reached them too, that true strength comes not from power, but from unity. Children studied the great silence with pride, learning that once, their ancestors had made the universe stop and listen. The old monuments still stood on the moon, and the words of Arya Holt were etched into their surface. "We did not conquer the stars. We reminded them that we exist." And so, under the calm blue glow of their home, the humans looked to the heavens and smiled. The galaxy had once mocked them, but now it whispered their name like a prayer. From the smallest moon to the brightest nebula, the same truth echoed through time and space. Earth did not rule the stars. Earth haunted them. Every flicker of starlight carried memory. Every silence carried respect. And in that endless quiet, the stars themselves remembered the day when humanity rose and the universe bowed.